And we're back. And that was Savannah and Boa on the phone. All right, Boa, here we go, picking up where we left off. Kate, Tom said seriously, what's actually going to happen though? I mean, really, should we jump out? I don't know. She felt paralyzed, panicked. She was the older one. She was supposed to know. For the first time, it occurred to her that maybe this wasn't going to come out okay. She wondered how deep the swamp was. If the train hit that water and sank, they'd be trapped. They could drown. But it was too late, because even as she thought it, she felt the silver arrow punch through the chain link fence as easily as a brick through a plate glass window. Hesitate for a moment like a roller coaster right before a big drop, and then tilt forward as the whole massive engine began its horrifying dive down the hill. The clankety-clank of the wheels went faster and faster. Kate closed her eyes and felt a sick, weightless lifting in her stomach. She clenched her jaw tight and gripped the seat till her knuckles went white. But the end didn't come. When they got to the bottom of the hill, they just kept rolling smoothly along. Faster now, but quieter, with no more breaking branches. Slowly, she unclenched her jaw and ungripped the seat. The engine chuffed happily. Cautiously, Kate opened her eyes. They should have been sinking into the swamp by now, with the snapping turtle waiting impatiently to snap the feet off their drowned corpses. But instead, they were cruising along easily through dark, still woods. Kate knew perfectly well that there were no woods here. There was only swamp, and after that, an office park, and beyond that, the highway. It was impossible. But the woods didn't seem to care about that. They just went on getting deeper and darker. Where are we? Tom whispered. I don't know. I can't believe we're in a real train. I know, right? I mean, what is even happening right now? Over the next few minutes, Kate and Tom had 3 separate versions of this conversation, different, but all basically the same. They raised the possibility that they were going to Hogwarts and decided they probably weren't, let's see if Nana can read. Though that would have been cool too. And it was Kate's 11th birthday. Kate stuck her head out the side of her cab, and Tom stuck his head out his side. She wondered where they were going, and whether it was a good idea to go there, or whether, if they absolutely had to, they could jump out of the train without getting badly injured, and how long it would take them to walk home after that, and how exactly their parents would punish the bejesus out of them when they got there. They were definitely getting Grace Hopper's whole permission versus forgiveness theory to a test. But at the same time, in all the excitement, all the energy, all the joy she'd been waiting her whole life to feel were finally thrilling through her whole body. Anything was worth that. The air outside was getting pretty cold, even though it was June, and Kate shivered in her t-shirt. She was glad for the warmth of the fire. After a few minutes, she saw a pale light through the trees up ahead. It was dim and distant at first, and blinked in and out among the branches. But it got stronger and stronger, till at last it came fully into view. It was a train station. Not a fancy one, just a small country train station, a long-lit platform in a clearing among the trees. There were people waiting on it. Except they weren't people. They were animals. A deer, a wolf, several foxes, a big brown bear, some rabbits or hares. Or were they the same thing? And a striped-faced badger. Perched along the railing at the back of the platform was an assortment of birds, large and small. They just stood there, as still as commuters waiting for their morning train, and each one had a ticket in its mouth. Let's go on and read Chapter 6. Chapter 6, Click Bing. See, this is what it looks like when we get to a new chapter. See, that one ended? Then we got a new chapter, Chapter 6. The silver arrow pulled slowly into the station, puffed out a huge cloud of white steam, and stopped with a loud hiss. There was an old-fashioned train clock on the platform, the round kind with a light inside that sits on top of a lamp-post. It was late, almost 10 o'clock at night. Tom came over to Kate's side to look at the animals. The animals looked back at them. They didn't run away the way wild animals usually did. They just stood there. It was like a dream. The air was so cold now they couldn't see their breath in the lights of the station. Finally, Tom said, "Hi." Kate wasn't always grateful for Tom's presence. In fact, a lot of times she preferred his absence. But at that moment she was. She knew she tended to hesitate and overthink things. Tom didn't have that problem. He would just blurt out anything that came into his head. A small gray fox bent down and placed its ticket carefully on the platform. "Hi," it said. "Hi," Kate said. "Been a long time since the train came through here," the fox said. "Very long," said the badger, transferring its tickets to its paws. Kate thought of saying, "Is that so?" or "How about that?" but rejected both ideas as fatally uncool. "How long?" Tom said. "About 30 years, the badger said. "Where have you been? You're very late." "Wait, just how can you be talking?" Kate said. "Oh, I know," the fox said. "We do talk sometimes, just not around humans. Frankly, we don't meet a lot of humans who are worth talking to. No offense." Kate supposed that was fair. "But you haven't been standing here waiting this whole time, have you?" she said. "Like the whole 30 years? "Oh, no, of course not. We just look in here once in a while to check. I mean, we're animals. It's not like we have jobs." "I guess not. You need to get over to the rail yard to pick up some cars, and fast," the hare said. "It's almost too late." "The rail yard?" Kate asked. "Okay, thank you, we'll do that." It sounded like good advice. "See you soon, then." The animals all picked up their tickets and went back to waiting. With a jerk and a loud hiss, the silver arrow moved off down the track again. Tom pulled the whistle. 2 quick whistle blasts. Can you make a whistle sound? I know Lily can. Make a couple whistle sounds. Kate clanged the bell for good measure. They quickly left the lights of the station behind. "Did you see that?" Kate said. "I totally saw that," Tom said. "Those animals talked. To us." Not only that, and that was incredible enough, but what they'd said had made Kate's ears prick up. This wasn't just a joyride. Kate and Tom were going somewhere specific, namely to the rail yard, whatever that was, and for a reason, namely to pick up cars. A joyride would have been fine, obviously, but this was even better. It wasn't just fun and games. They were on a mission. They had a job to do. The glow of the firelight was nice, and it was starting to feel cozy in the cab. The air smelled like hot engine oil, a savory, interesting smell. Everything was made of brass and leather and wood and glass, and felt very old, like the kind of place that would usually be behind a velvet rope at a museum. "I wonder who's driving this thing," Tom said. "I mean, we're not." Who knows? Suddenly there was a click and the bing of a bell, kind of like the click bing of an old-fashioned typewriter. Kate hadn't noticed it before, but on the wall of the cab, in among the pipes and dials and levers, was a little loop of paper. It unrolled out of the innards of the train at one end and then scrolled back into them in the other. A message had just been printed on it. The message said, "I know." As soon as they'd read the words, the message scrolled out of sight and more paper scrolled out. Another click bing. It really was like a typewriter or a very low-tech printer. More words appeared neatly typed. The message said, "The following are instructions for operating this steam engine." Uh-oh, Kate thought. Here we go. Click bing, more words. Operating a steam engine is really complicated. But don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Great, Tom rolled his eyes. Train school. Click bing. It's not train school. It's called learning. When done properly, it can be actually quite enjoyable. Though admittedly, it's hardly ever done properly. Tom folded his arms. He looked unconvinced. Look, learning things is incredibly hard and unpleasant. This is the typewriter talking to him. Now with the typewriter, look, there's a little picture here. This is what the typewriter looks like. This little piece of paper is popping out and there's little words on it. And these words are what it's saying to them. If it wasn't, then everybody would do it all the time. And then everybody would know everything, wouldn't they? Kate shrugged. I guess. You guess right. What you need is a good teacher. Fortunately, I am one. Right, Tom said under his breath. How can you even be talking? Kate asked, keenly aware that she had also just asked a fox the exact same question. I don't know, I just am, the machine typed. Are you a great metal robot or something? I don't know, it typed. I mean, aren't you just a robot made of flesh and bones? If you think about it, it typed. Kate thought about it. The train did kind of have a point. The train's kind of talking to them. Here it goes again. For now, your only job is giving me more coal. The coal is in the tender. Remember the extra train on the back carrying all the coal. Just shove it into the firebox. The firebox is the box with the fire in it. I figured that, said Tom. Less talking, more shoveling. There were 2 short shovels and 2 pairs of work gloves hanging on pegs in the tender. They put on the gloves and shoveled chunky pieces of black coal into the box. It took only a few shovelfuls before the fire started to get hot and glowing again. Job well done. It was surprisingly satisfying. So, Kate said, I guess it's a talking train. I guess so. Click bing. I guess so, the train typed. Oh, so not only are they on a train adventure, they are on a train adventure to who knows where, with animals who can talk and a train that types them messages. This is pretty cool. Are you liking this story? All right, next up is chapter 7.